Now, of course, the big story of the day has been the alleged bribery by Tebogo Molaka, the CEO of the Independent Development Trust. You just heard there in the promo my colleague Tabiso Kotani saying this is some form of domkopism, which I think really encapsulates how so many of us are feeling. How does someone who is the CEO of a major state institution take a bag of money in public to a journalist who's very, very well known for exposing corruption? And I don't know, the amount of money has been debated a lot today, but I don't know if you think you can bribe a very senior journalist with 60,000 Rand after he's written books about corruption. It seems like it's a little bit of a stingy amount. But let's speak now to the Black Business Council, because the Black Business Council previously had concerns with the minister, Dean McPherson, concerns that he was interfering operationally in the IDT. Then the BBC met Mr. McPherson, and it looked like there was agreement on many issues. Let's get now Gregory Mofokeng, who is the Vice President for Organised Business at the BBC. Let's get his reaction now. Thanks for joining us, Gregory. Good evening.
Good evening, Tana, and good evening to Power listeners.
Thanks so much. What's the BBC's reaction to what we've all seen on our screens today?
Well, it's a further confirmation of the concerns that we've always had, that we do have a lot of corruption in the system, and this is confirmation of that. Taylor, behind the scenes, we handle a lot of complaints from members who obviously have concerns that doing business with the state in particular has become very difficult because of this kind of conduct, where they're required to pay in order to get projects and so on. And so it has become very, very, very difficult for us and for our members to operate in an environment that is, defined by corruption.
All right. And when you met with Minister McPherson, and when you first explained that you had concerns back in April, what were these the concerns that you raised about fraud, allegations of fraud and corruption in the trust?
Well, our concern at the time really arose from the fact that from a governance perspective, we expected the board to be handling such issues and not the minister. And I think, we did meet with the minister to iron out those issues, as you rightfully noted. But of course, even in that meeting, we agreed with the minister that where there is corruption, it needs to be dealt with decisively. Mm-hmm. And you will have seen from our statement coming out of our meeting with the minister that we were very clear that we will work with the minister to root out corruption where it exists within his portfolio and elsewhere in government and the private sector.
And just going forward now, what are you expecting to see? We have the press conference by the minister tomorrow morning.
Well, we expect the law to take its course. I think, we all, are privy to the information that has been in circulation, including the video. And so we do expect the law to take its course. Our expectation is that obviously a criminal case has to be opened here. If the minister sees it fit to do so himself, he will do that. And of course, we do expect that, law enforcement agencies will then look into this matter and that the full might of the law must apply.
This is a state-owned entity that deals with construction with billions in tenders for some of the people who are most vulnerable in our country, for schools, for community development halls, for prisons as well. And it's a real concern that social construction is blighted by corruption.
Indeed it is. And to add to those concerns that you've just highlighted, most of our members that are doing work for the IDT also don't get paid on time. Some of them are facing serious operational challenges to the extent that they have to close their businesses. Both built environment professionals or engineers or architects and so on who are doing business with the IDT, including contractors, are facing hardships simply because the business model of the IDT makes it difficult for them to be paid on time. So, beyond just this issues of corruption that we are seeing, the impact on those that are doing business with the IDT is also very, 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 very fundamental on their businesses. And of course, the communities that are impacted here, we also have to think about the communities because these, assets that are being built by the IDT are very critical, as far as service delivery is concerned.
In the latest performance report, the annual report, it's 22-23, so that's the one that's, of course, the latest. It was flagged by the audit committee that there's various reports by the internal auditors, the audit report, and they said that there's significant non-compliance with policies and procedures has been reported. And so they raised this as a concern in their previous annual report, yet it would seem that either nothing's been done or not enough has been done. Clearly, if we're seeing visuals of alleged bribery on our screens.
Definitely, and that's why we do expect the new board that has been installed under the leadership of Minister McPherson to attend to those issues that have been raised in those annual reports. Thirdly, the reality is that even if you look at the reports coming out of the Auditor General, the situation, is the same across many other SOEs and departments in government. And that's why we definitely do need to turn a corner in ensuring that, governance rules are observed, and that where there is wrongdoing, action is to be taken. For the longest time, we have seen instances where people do wrong and there's no consequence management. And we are hoping that, the period we are entering into now will be a period of transparency and accountability. We need people to take action where, the rules are being broken willy-nilly, where the PFMAs and the triple PFAs, all these, policies and pieces of legislation are not being observed. We do need to see action. I think for the longest time, people have gotten away with it because they knew that there was not going to be any consequence management.
Yeah, and the Independent Development Trust is actually governed by the PFMA, the Public Finance Management Act, and the King report. So it's also got the corporate accountability. And I believe in both, under both sets, of course, bribery is not exactly seen as something positive. But how do we do that, Gregory? Because, of course, we see so often that there's allegations of corruption, and the next person could think that they might be able to engage in bribery, but just do it a little bit more surreptitiously.
Yes, and I think it takes both sides, really. I mean, like I said to you, we have a lot of complaints emanating from our members that they are being asked all manner of favors when they tender for projects, especially in the public sector. What we do need is to see action. I mean, we advise members, obviously, to report such instances, notwithstanding the fact that they do get victimized at the later stage when action is not taken against those individuals that are guilty of this particular conduct. Ours really is to bring these matters to the fore and to allow due processes to take its course. We have got rules, we've got laws in this country, and those that are given the responsibility to make sure that those are effectively implemented must do their jobs. And I think this is where the concern also shifts to law enforcement agencies to say cases where where such acts have been reported, there's been very little action in the past, and we now need to see movement on those so that people can know that they cannot go around conducting themselves in this manner.
All right, and then just from the vetting stages, when executives are appointed and the various kinds of processes that should be followed before someone is appointed, do you think those are strong enough?
Well, they are strong enough. I think where we have a problem is where those who are responsible for taking these decisions ignore information before them. People are, especially in the state, if you are going to occupy such a senior position, you must be vetted, all right? And so proper vetting needs to happen. And whatever information comes out of it, those who are tasked with the responsibility of hiring the senior personnel must take such information seriously. What we've seen in most instances is that people are not properly vetted, firstly, or where they are vetted, and there are certain red flags that are raised. Those responsible for such processes simply ignore them. And so that's where we have a problem. I'm sure you will have heard, in the past, we had a crazy situation where, for instance, Andre Reiter, who was the CEO of Eskom at the time, was not vetted for 4 years. It was just a crazy kind of a situation. So we've got processes in place. Those are rigorous enough. We must just follow the processes as set and follow the law as set.
All right. Thanks very much, Gregory Mofokeng, Black Business Council Vice President of Organized Business, speaking there about the big story today. And of course, that is Tebogo Malaka handing over that white Dior bag. And it's been across all the shows here on Power 987. If you have anything to add or you'd like to join that conversation, 0861 987 000, WhatsApps and voice notes 083 303 7093. And it will be interesting, of course, to see what Dean McPherson, the minister, will be saying tomorrow, because he hasn't yet given a response. And of course, he was seen as having clashed with Tebogo Malaka. He was seen as clashing with the board as well. And he's the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure.